my name is Mackenzie Morgan, and I'm a public services librarian here at Collier County Public Library. And today we have Jennifer L. Schiff. She is a local author, and we're here to promote the local author book fair, which will be held at Collier County's South Regional Library, Saturday, November 18th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we just want to get to know you a little bit, Jennifer. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about yourself?
So my name is Jennifer L. Schiff, and I'm a local author, and I have been writing my Sanibel Island mystery series and a couple of novels for just 6 years now. And before that, I was a journalist and an editor, and I also did marketing communications for a number of companies. So across the publishing spectrum, I've kind of done it all.
Yeah, that's awesome. So for the local author book fair, you have Framed in Naples, a Sanibel Island mystery. Can you tell us a little bit about this book and the whole series? It is the 10th book in the series, so definitely check out the first one. But why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
So Framed in Naples, as the title would suggest, takes place here in Naples, actually at the Baker Museum. And as with all of my books include real places or places modeled after real places, but all the people are entirely fictional, despite what some of my readers may think. And so Framed in Naples, as I said, takes place at the Baker Museum, and there's a big retrospective of an artist who a lot of people thought was dead or else had disappeared. But he's resurfaced, he has some new work, but he has a bit of controversy behind him. He was accused by another artist many years before of plagiarism, of copying this young artist's work. And as a result of lawsuits going back and forth, he disappeared. So now we have this exhibit, and during this big exhibit, which has gotten a lot of publicity, somebody dies. And there's a question of, was it an accident? Was it a murder? And my main character, who is a reporter for a local paper on Sanibel and Captiva, happens to be at the exhibit, and she is tasked with researching the story, finding out what really happened. And for those who have read my books before, the main character, whose name is Guinevere Jones, or Gwyn, has a history of coming across dead bodies. It's very unfortunate. Ever since she moved to Sanibel Island, the murder rate went up, but she actually has had nothing to do with it. It's just an unfortunate coincidence. But if you've read the other books, you'll be familiar with some of the characters, but the thing about my books is that they also stand alone. So if you've never read a Sanibel Island mystery, if you know nothing about Sanibel or Naples, you can still really enjoy this book. Every book has a bit of background, and really, as I said, it stands alone. And if you like cozy mysteries, if you were into like Murder, She Wrote, or you like Hallmark movies and mysteries, if you like second chance romance novels, this book has a bit of everything.
Awesome. Wow, that sounds very intriguing. And why don't you tell us about the other books that you will be having at the local author book fair? You said you will have the first book in the series, right? A Shell of a Problem.
Yep, so the first book is called A Shell of a Problem, and that introduces readers to Sanibel and Captiva and the cast of characters, including my main character, my amateur sleuth, Guinevere Jones. And then the second book in the series is called Something Fishy, and I'm probably going to have that book there too, because a lot of people like, getting into a series, so I like to have the first couple of books. And I've also written a couple of novels, and one of them, which you have here, is called Something's Cooking in Chianti, which is a culinary mystery that takes place in the Chianti region of Italy. If you love food, if you love Italy, if you love romance, you will love Something's Cooking in Chianti, which is based on travels that my family and I have had in the Chianti region. And we haven't actually attended a cooking course, but we know people who've attended cooking courses, and everybody who reads it says, like, don't read it on an empty stomach because you're going to be wanting food.
Oh my gosh.
And I researched the recipes, and it's a lot of fun. And then I'm going to have Framed in Naples there too.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds very interesting. I've never been to Italy, but it sounds lovely.
You're going to feel like because again, my big hunk. So I started my career as a fact checker and as a researcher. So what was kind of drilled into me, I mean, even in graduate school, was always get your facts right, always do your research. So all of my books are heavily researched. And so, if there is a type of food mentioned, if there's a recipe, it actually comes from a real recipe. I check it out. If a place is mentioned, I go and make sure it is where it's supposed to be, what its history is. So people get to, learn a lot about an area or about a type of food or something like that whenever they read my books, which is always fun.
Yeah, that is fun. And so the Sanibel Island Mystery Series is obviously based in Sanibel in the Collier County area. So can you tell me how you came to write about this area specifically? I've heard that you used to live in Sanibel, but you now live in Collier County. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so like many people, my husband and I came to Sanibel on vacation and fell in love with the area and wound up a few years later getting a vacation home and then buying a house and moving there. But we always came to Naples. Naples was always someplace we talked about moving to. We had friends in Naples. We loved artist Naples. We would come to concerts here. We loved the Baker Museum. We loved the restaurants in Naples. Naples has some of the best restaurants in Florida. And we would come here. We'd find ourselves in Naples all the time. And then sadly, when Hurricane Ian came through and destroyed our house, and we were thinking, okay, where do we go from here? And Naples was in bad shape too. After we sort of floated around Florida until it was safe to come back, we wound up settling in Naples because it felt like our second home.
Yeah.
And Naples is just a great place. And so when I finally decided to write again another book, because my fans really wanted to hear from me, it was a little difficult to write, as you can imagine, after the hurricane and after losing everything. And I thought, I'm going to write about a place that I love, Naples, and I love the Baker Museum. And I should say that the director of the Baker Museum, Courtney McNeil, was very helpful in writing the book. And as well, the staff there was very helpful in telling me where to hide a body and how to sneak around the museum, which maybe I shouldn't say, maybe this will get cut, but they were just great. When I was telling them I was writing a murder mystery, they were extremely helpful in giving me ideas
oh my gosh.
around the museum.
That's so funny.
And I think you asked like where I got the idea for the books. So that was actually, it was on a dare. And I was having dinner one evening with some friends of ours on Sanibel, and I had been temporarily, it turns out, laid off from my job. And I was complaining about that. And the couple we were with, the gentleman who had retired early, said, "That's great. That's a fabulous opportunity for you. Now go do something that you've always wanted to do. What have you always wanted to do?" And my husband pipes up and says, "Write a book." Now, I don't know about all of you, but writing a book is a typical paperback trade paperback is 80,000 words. That takes a lot of time. And I had tried to write a book at least a half a dozen times. And for the next like 2 hours of dinner conversation, my friends and my husband were all giving me suggestions of what I could write about. And I was like, I'm not writing a book. I am not writing a book. 2 weeks later, I'm back in Connecticut where we were living at the time. And I had a dream. And it was the plot of the first book, A Shell of a Problem. And I woke up at like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning and I said, I'm writing this down. And I turned to my husband when he finally woke up and I said, okay, I have an idea for a book. I never thought about writing a mystery before, never thought about writing about Sanibel before. And I said, I'm going to take the summer off because it was June 1st. And I said, if I can write a first draft by Labor Day, I'm going to give this book thing a try. And it took me a little bit longer than that, but I had a first draft. And then a few months later, I decided I was going to self-publish the book. I pushed the book out and it became an instant hit. Like I convinced bookstores on Sanibel to carry it. I sold it online on Amazon and just thousands of people were really interested. And that started my career. And as I said, that was barely 6 years ago. And I've now written 10 books in the Sanibel Island series plus the 2 other ones. And I'm so grateful because my fans, my readers have been amazing. And during the hurricane, I got so much love and support from these people who follow me on Facebook and Instagram and through the newsletter. And I'm so grateful to my 2 friends, Kelly and Bobby, for daring me to write a book 6 years ago.
Wow. Yeah. And you know what? If you are a fan of Jennifer L. Schiff or you're just interested in her books, definitely come to the local author book fair and meet her and maybe buy some of her books. And before we wrap up, I do want to ask you, if you could describe Framed in Naples in 3 words or less, what would they be?
Art, murder, mystery.
Awesome. All right. We'll come to the local author book fair for art, murder, and mystery.